Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Elbow Nudge Podcast. This is episode 13. I'm here with my
13.
good friend, Caroline. Caroline, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We were previously discussing how nice it feels to have cool weather, even though we're both in pretty bipolar climate states.
Yes.
And it feels good. It feels good to be wrapped up double blanket burrito style. It feels nice.
Yeah, it's a freezing 56 degrees over here, so I'm all bundled up.
It is a semi-freezing 36 over here, and it is expecting to get colder, so I'm on the
Yeah, that's
happier end of the
Antarctica
spectrum.
levels.
Yeah, I think Antarctica's a little colder, but yeah, it's definitely like if it was to rain right now, we might get snow. It's a possibility, but there's none in the forecast, so
Or at
yeah.
least hail or ice on your windshield or something.
Yeah, there is sleet forecasted, so that's interesting, but that's not snow. I mean, last year we had the snowpocalypse, and I was literally like frolicking. I was running around in the snow. Luke
How long was
hated
that
it.
snow apocalypse?
2 days?
Huh.
It was a
More like an Age of Ultron snow apocalypse.
I say 2 days because I had power, running water, and heat, and unfortunately, a lot of the people in my city were not as blessed
Yeah.
because yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm over here saying 2 days, and somebody who really experienced snowpocalypse was like, it was weeks. It was terrible. I remember I was doing online school at the time because my campus was just all online. They were all remote because of COVID. So I didn't have anywhere to be. Everybody was working from home or things like that. So I was just in, but we bunkered down, made food. Every night I'd go out and play in the snow. But I think it was only two or 3 days, if I remember correctly. After that, it was just more of like dealing with the aftermath of like frozen pipes and whatnot.
So during the... Oh, wait. I think we spoke about this before, but... Was this considered your first like snow days? Well, you said you were online, but did people have snow days during this time? Like
Yeah.
snow
Well,
day as in no school, no work.
I think a lot of people had considered it snow days because, like, I think a good chunk of the city was already shut down because of COVID, going remote and stuff. But anybody that did have to be in person, it was definitely a snow day because the city only has one de-icing machine. I don't know if the city owns any snow trucks or things like that to like plow the streets. So yeah, the city was basically shut down. Everybody was like, stay home, no school, kind of thing.
It's an amazing feeling.
It was so fun. I have never experienced like that was really my first true snow experience, and it was at the tender age of 25. Trying to think of how old I was, and it was a truly wonderful experience to just be. I made like a little snow angel. I got snowballs and I was chucking it at Davy. It was real fun. And then I took Luke out because I thought Luke would love it, and Luke was so upset with me. He hated
Oh,
the
I like the
snow.
cold.
You see, so yeah, we were thinking the same. I thought I have this fluffy little snow dog, and you would think that with all that fur and fluff, he would love the snow. He absolutely hated it. He absolutely hated it. I
Because he
have
blended in and nobody could find them.
no, he hates the feeling of his of the snow on his paws. I have a photo, and
Oh, it is pretty
hopefully,
cold for them. Yeah.
yeah, his pawsies. I have a photo of him absolutely like he even looked mad. He looked so upset with me when
No, I get it. I get
I
it.
took him outside. He was like, I hate this. I don't like this. Why would you do this to me? I found the photo. He looks so mad.
In New York, when I used to live over there, and I would walk my little Chihuahua, I would try to walk him during the winter, but yeah, sometimes he'll just stop and it'll be way too cold. He'll just be like, "Pick me up. I'm not walking. I'm not walking home."
Oh yeah, and Chihuahuas are already cold-natured.
Oh,
Look at that
this,
angry little boy.
he looks so sad. He
Look at
looks so sad.
that angry little guy.
Cold, cold, and sad. I've never seen his floof droop.
No.
Wow.
And then so after that,
So
my
after
dad
you made him suffer through the cold, you took a picture to
I
remember this
did.
day.
I went full Chrissy Teigen and took a photo of him in his suffering, my poor baby boy. And then after
He looks a
that,
little better there.
yeah, my dad swaddled him in a blanket,
Yeah, I think it's
in a
because your
towel.
dad is next to him.
And he looks a lot better, a lot more happy. But look at him. Even in all that floof, he's snuggled up with a towel and a
Yeah,
blanket, and like that, he's okay. But when it's just him, he is so mad. You can see the snow in his fur around his ears on the first pic.
I see it. Little crystals.
Yeah.
Now you know. Leave him inside during these snow apocalypses.
I do have a video of him running around in the snow. I think he was just like experience it, and then after that he got sick of it. He was like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done."
I haven't had the chance to have a snow day here in Florida, but I remember, and I was reminiscing about this with my sister not too long ago, but waking up really early during like a blizzard in New York, and we would have the news on, and it was start telling you like the little ticker at the bottom would tell you all the schools that are closed, and
Huh?
you would just pray that your school is on the list. Like, please be closed, please be closed. And then if it didn't show up, we would call. We would make my mom call to find out if the students have to go in.
Uh-huh.
Surprisingly, we had to go in a lot more than we thought we would.
Wow.
Yeah, we still had. I mean, the buses were running. There was a lot less snow days than you would think with how much snow you get. But
I would imagine in places that usually get snow, it's the city is more prepared. So they're like, "Yeah, we're not going to shut down. You still got to come in."
unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
makes
not
sense.
like San Antonio. Over here, like today, temperatures dropped to the 30s and we got a high wind warning, and that was already enough. I got emails from my junior college and my university saying, because I'm still on their email list. So I got emails from both of them saying like we're canceling classes, we're going remote.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yes.
even a snow day. That's not like no snow happened
It's
today.
just too cold.
It's just too
People don't want
cold.
to walk in the cold. People don't want to study in the cold.
But if it's like if you flip it, we were like that, but like in 110-degree weather. It's like, oh,
Oh,
it's
that's easy.
110. You can fry an egg outside. We would seriously get warnings where you would have to, those like aluminum dash covers that you
Yeah,
put in front
that
of your
you have
car.
to use those.
Yeah, like you have to use these because there have been reports of people steering wheels getting warped. Like that's how hot the sun is.
Yeah. Oh
It's just
yeah. I've had a lot of days like that where I'm backing out of my driveway and I'm burning my hands.
yeah, yeah. I've had days where I can't even touch like the armrests or I think one time when I was regularly like taking trips in the car with my dad, I got like a tan on my arm that was a perfect imprint of where the window and like the sun
You got the
hit
farmer
me.
stand.
I got that
Yeah,
farmer's
you got the farmer
tan,
stand. Yeah, yeah.
and it was like I was like, "Dang. I got to put we need some aluminum covers for the side." The sun was just too bright. And so it feels nice to be on the flip side and be like, "Oh, it's cold. We got to stay home."
Yeah, we're enjoying it.
But Tony, what movie are we covering this week?
We're covering 2001, A Space Odyssey, a classic, a sci-fi original. No, it's not. That's a TV show. Uh, Stanley Kubrick original, a
Yeah.
sci-fi masterpiece, an inspiration to future generations of filmmakers.
Do
That's
you
all I got.
do you consider it all of those things?
Let me think. Inspiration, yes. Masterpiece, I don't know about that. Actually, I was questioning it. I was questioning it throughout specific moments in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I thought if I was sitting in a theater, would I get up
Yeah. Okay.
and leave?
Yeah. I was thinking that exactly. I gave it all the respect it deserves. I watched it, didn't take out my phone. I was taking notes. Like I tried to give it as close to a theater experience as I could. And there were so many moments that I sat there like, if I was in the theater right now, would I leave? Especially after 17 minutes of monkeys.
22 minutes of no dialogue.
Nothing.
22 2 minutes
The first
to open up a movie with just monkey yelling and Animal Planet.
and bum, bum, bum,
Ta-da!
bum,
Is this the movie that
bum, bum,
originated
bum,
that?
bum, bum,
I
bum.
had
Oh,
no
it
idea.
must be. This came out in '68,
Yeah.
so it must be that bum, 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 bum.
Oh man, there was several times, maybe at least every 5 minutes, I was checking. Is this the right movie? I hovered over real quick to make sure. All right, 2001, and then I kept going with the monkeys. I'm like, is this the right movie? Did I click on the right one? Or is this like a weird original? Like I didn't get the official one everyone holds as a classic one.
If you were to look at my Google Doc, I wrote like my play-by-play impressions. Number one, am I watching the right movie? Is this the right movie? A bunch of monkeys.
Did I click on Planet of the Apes by accident?
Also, I put as my second remark, needed to lower the volume. The monkeys were scaring Luke.
Lukey.
Like he had his tail between his legs and he was scared because of that ooh ooh ah ah going all cray cray.
I'm always watching with headphones, and there's also another scene. We're gonna jump around because elbow nudge, that's
It's
how
our
we do it
style.
here.
Also,
Yeah.
by the way, elbow nudge view like listeners, it's late. And so typically when we record and it's late, we're even more all around the place. So
Do
ahead.
we even have to describe this movie? It's so strange.
I think we have to give a little synopsis, and I think I have a good way of doing it. So for our listeners who have never seen this movie, I personally, I'm finally going to quote Tony on this. This is a movie that was interesting to watch, but I don't think I'll ever see it again. And
that is something I would say.
Yeah. And so movie was released in 1968. It is directed, produced, and written by Stanley Kubrick, but also a writer. There are two writers, Stanley Kubrick and a man named Arthur C. Clarke. And Arthur C. Clarke also wrote a novel.
Right, yeah.
That is a side-by-side to this movie that gives better in-depth analysis.
Isn't
to
it
the
just
plot.
Space Odyssey?
I think it is just Space Odyssey, yeah. But it is side-by-side with this film. And so this movie can be broken down into 4 episodes. Part 1 is this 17 or 23 minutes of the beginning where it's just monkeys. And Monkey Pack 1 is...
Yeah, you had it right. I think it's 17 minutes of monkeys, but yeah. I called out the 22-minute mark because I was thinking this is a long time without anybody talking.
Yeah, nobody spoke.
Yeah.
17, I looked at it specifically when the monkeys ended, and it was 17 minutes like on the dot. And I was like, oh, thank God, hopefully no more monkeys. And especially when I saw like the space station. One fell off and bumped his head. But the first 17 minutes is like episode 1. It's like part 1. And it's just about Monkey Pack A and Monkey Pack B. And Monkey Pack A sees this black monolith from we don't know where, and they touch it, and all of a sudden they know how to use tools, or like a bone. They know how to use a bone as a weapon. So they start hitting the other monkeys with it. And then 17 minutes of that and classical music, and then it whoop, like flashes forward to part 2, and it's about this doctor named Haywood, and he is visiting the space station, and we get to look at all of this like futuristic technology. And while he's like on the way, he like FaceTimes, but like video calls his daughter, and he's this movie was made in '68, so people are in the theater are like, whoa, like this is all possible. Whereas we're in like 2022, like we got this, except what they got. Like this is what the future looks like from people in the past perspective. So we don't have like Back to the Future level technology, but we're kind of close. And that's just part 1. Dr. Haywood. He goes to the space station. And some people are like, hey, we want to know what's going on the moon. Is there an epidemic breaking out? We can't make any contact with anybody in the moon. And he's like, oh no, it's fine. It's no problem. And then he gets to the moon and he's like, all right, gentlemen, we can't let anybody else know what's going on the moon. And what it is that they found another black monolith, like the way the monkeys found in part 1. So all these scientist guys go, and Dr. Haywood go, and they see the monolith and they're taking a picture with it, and then it lets out this like huge, like high-pitched radio frequency. Cut to part 3.
That's the part I was gonna jump ahead to.
Okay, go
I was
ahead.
wearing headphones.
Oh no.
So I felt the same effects as them.
Did you lower your volume?
No, I didn't.
So you felt
I
Jupiter.
suffered through it with them, yeah.
No.
All right, go ahead.
I do not wear headphones unless I'm talking to you like on computer, or like if I have to use my microphone or I'm on Xbox. Because for me, my ears start hurting when they're folded and compressed like that. Maybe it's just the type of headphones I have. I need to get those.
Earbuds.
Oh dang, look at you.
Wired earbuds.
So much for being a man of the digital future. But I have these.
So digital.
I have these.
I streamed this movie for your information.
That's true. I did too. It's on HBO Max. For anybody wanting to know, this movie's on HBO Max. But yeah, high-pitched radio frequency emits, and then it cuts to part 3. And to me, part 3 could be a movie on its own. If I was to just watch a movie about part 3, I would be completely happy.
This is the movie
everybody talks about.
Part that I thought the whole movie would be.
Yeah, me too. This is the part that I thought the whole movie would be about. This is the part that I wish the movie was only about, is part 3. Because part 3 is honestly the most interesting and my favorite aspect of the film. If we did not have part 3, I would have totally told you, Tony, you know what? Let's not do this movie this week. Let's do something else. Because everything else, I was kind of like, eh. But part 3 is really good. It's about these 2 astronauts named Frank and Dave. And they, along with 3 other scientists that are currently in like cryosleep, are on the way to Jupiter. But they're also accompanied by the AI HAL 9000. And something happens to where HAL makes a mistake. And he tells the astronauts like, the antenna is gonna fail. You need to replace it. It's gonna break. Or like the antenna's broken. So they go out, they get the antenna, and they bring it back in, and they're trying to look and see where it's broken, where they need to fix it, and there's no issues with it. So then home base tells them something's wrong with your HAL. HAL has made a mistake. And HAL is over here like, that's not possible. So Frank and Dave
gotta emphasize that HAL 9000 has never made a mistake. They're super intelligent supercomputers.
Exactly.
That are infallible, but apparently this HAL made a mistake.
And HAL is like, oh, easy. It must be human error. Any mistake attributed to a HAL 9000 has been because of human error, and human error only. And Frank and Dave are like, okay. So they go into this little pod to, quote, fix something, unquote. And then they start talking to where HAL can't hear them. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to go put this thing back, this antenna back. And if it fails, that means HAL is right. And if it doesn't fail, HAL is wrong, and we need to disconnect him. So they're over here like, okay, so if it doesn't fail, we're going to disconnect him. And HAL, in the meantime, this little AI guy, he is reading their lips and is like, oh, no, you ain't. So Frank goes out to fix the antenna, and HAL launches his little ship, because Frank uses this little pod ship to get to the antenna, and HAL chucks that little ship at him, which hurls Frank into space, and it cut his oxygen wire. So Frank is hurling into space. Dave is like, oh crap. So he runs to his pod ship and goes to get him. Well, when he goes to get him, HAL turns off the cryosleep on the other 3 scientists, which basically kills them. So when Dave comes back with Frank's body, because Frank has now suffocated in space Dave didn't get to him in time, he's like, Hal, open the doors. And Hal is like, I can't do that, Dave. You're going to jeopardize the mission. And it's like, oh, like this is where I love this part of the movie, because even like the tension, the suspense of it all, and just Hal's monotone voice being like, I can't do that, Dave. You're jeopardizing the mission. And so poor Dave. Dave is so calm. Like he doesn't go he doesn't cuss at him. He doesn't do anything. He's just going, Hal, and then nothing. And
open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal. He doesn't yell at him. He's just saying, open the pod bay doors, Hal. And Hal is like silent. And it isn't until Dave is, proving human ingenuity, right? Dave goes in and he uses his little pod ship's arms that it has to open the emergency hatch. And then he gets in. And as he's getting in, Hal starts getting into CYA mode. He's like, Dave, I'm okay now. Really, I am. You don't have to do this. I promise to be helpful to you in the upcoming mission, Dave. I've really thought about my actions. Like he's saying he's sorry or whatever. He's like, I'm better now. Dave, I really think you should have a clear head about this. Why don't you take a break and think it over? And Dave is single-minded. He is going to go in and turn off Hal. And so that's what he does. And as he's doing it, you hear Hal's scary monotone voice being like, Dave, stop. I'm scared. I can feel it, Dave. My mind, it's going. Stop. Dave. And it's like, whoa.
Now for this part, I thought it was really interesting because I think this was AI desperation. I think if it could express itself with more emotions, it would be saying, stop, Dave, stop, please, I'm scared. But he's just saying, stop, Dave.
Stop, Dave.
Stop.
And I love that. I'm scared. It was so unnerving because if it was programmed to have those vocal fluctuations, it would, but it doesn't. It's programmed to always sound monotone and at ease, but it's still expressing, stop.
Another thing I really liked about it is the close-up shots of Hal.
Oh, I love it.
And it's just a red light. Yep. I felt like this is a faceless inanimate object, just a red light.
It's a little red dot.
I felt like just how we would watch like Master Chief or Mandalorian, we look at a helmet that has no expression and we can
tell their emotions.
We could put what kind of emotion they're trying to convey. We don't have to see a face. We know the emotions, and somehow it changes. Like you see when Hal's looking at them conspire behind his back or like literally in front of him. I don't know why they did that. I want to call them out on that. They went in the pod, but they were in front of a window and Hal has cameras and they're looking so suspicious. But
I don't.
Yeah, during that scene when it shows Hal, when it shows Hal, it's like you can tell that red light looks like they're up to something.
It's watching them. It's always in frame too. While they're talking about this, that red light is the center focus of the shot, to where it wants you. Like my eyes were focusing on the guys when they would go back and forth, but it was also like the camera was telling you, remember, Hal is right there.
Yeah, the camera was in one place for most of the scene, and it does that a lot in this movie where I actually really love, like when that happens. I've seen shows where they do this too. Ozark is one of them. They would just hold the shot for so long, it actually catches my attention where it's like, oh, we haven't cut away in a really long time. It's just right there. So in this movie, it was Frank and Dave, and then just a red dot right there watching them. Yeah, they're just talking back and forth. And yeah, I love those scenes.
It was really good. What's interesting is that Stanley Kubrick is one of the first people to pioneer that Steadicam hold shot of like, we're just going to hold right here and just go. Like he's one of the first people to do that. And what's interesting is that he kind of I'm trying to think of the word. He made that well known in the horror industry because this is also the guy that did Clockwork Orange, The Shining,
Mm-hmm.
and he used those camera methods in those films, and it got it real popular. Just like that steady hold, shot.
Yeah, because it's a little bit uncomfortable.
It is.
So it works for those
And also, when
movies.
something uncomfortable is happening on the screen, you're like, cut away, cut away. But he's like, nope, not going to do that.
No, live with it.
Live
Feel
with
it.
it. So yeah, Dave is unplugging Hal, and Hal is like regressing. He's like, I can feel it, Dave. My mind is going. I can feel. And then, hello, I am your Hal 9000. And it's like, would you like to hear a song? And then he goes, yeah, Hal, I'd like to hear that song. And it's like, daisies.
Yeah, get him distracted, have him sing a song. It
And
turns out to
then
be terrifying.
it's terrifying. And so yeah, he unplugs Hal. So that's the end of part 3. Part 4, we get right back into this crazy train where we follow Dave again, but this time he's the only surviving member of this crew, and he's reached Jupiter. And he gets out into his little pod, and he drives out into space, and he sees that same black monolith that has appeared in part 1 and 2. Only this time, although I should preface, I'm sorry, I need to go back, that in part 3, when he unplugged Hal, like after he finally unplugged Hal, a video came out from Dr. Haywood from part 2 who said, gentlemen, like, thank you for going on this trip. I'm about to tell you something that only your HAL 9000 has been privy to. And it's that the reason for your mission is because, like, 18 or 11 months ago, I can't remember exactly, but he's like, so many months ago. 18 months ago, we came across this black monolith on the moon, and it sent a radio signal to a place on Jupiter. And so that is your purpose for this mission, is to find where these radio signals were being sent to. And so now Dave is like, okay, now I know why I'm here. So Dave sees this black monolith just floating in space by Jupiter, gets in his pod, goes out, and then we get like this. I have never in my life done any form of drugs, acid, or gotten drunk.
You drink coffee, right?
But I do drink caffeine, but it's only 1 cup a day.
whoa, easy there. I do drink caffeine.
You trying to insinuate something?
A related question. You drink coffee, right? And how much?
1 cup.
How big is that cup?
Don't worry about it.
All right, go on.
As I was saying before my co-host rudely interrupted me. As I was saying, I've never done any of those things.
Until this movie.
But this movie is the closest I will ever get to experiencing that, because it's like 20 minutes of in my editor's mind, I took a dash cam of Las Vegas and parallel it. It's just that, like, going side by side. It's flashing lights, looking like a road, and then it kind of looks like the sea, all while listening to this eerie music. You see some
This
shots.
This is the only moment that I thought, if I was watching in the theater, I probably would have got up. I don't know if you had any other moment, but this was the only one for me.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
the
really
monkeys
thought, I really thought, is this supposed to be masterful artistry that's going way over my head? Are all of these shots very specifically chosen? Is it telling me a message and I'm not getting it? Or is this really just 10 to 20 minutes of just random scenes played with spooky music, and I just got to sit here and wait it out? Because I was zoned out. I was zoned out during all this.
Oh yeah, me too.
I was not getting it. I wanted to at first. I wanted to figure out, all right, what's the meaning? What's the hidden meaning? What does this mean? Is he traveling dimensions? What is this monolith doing? And then my mind can only take so much. It's like the Doctor Strange open your mind scene, except not as exciting and 10 times as long.
Yeah. For the first minute, I sat there with those same thoughts, like, okay, I'm going to give this the attention it deserves. But then after a minute, my short attention span went to my phone. And I was like, all right, I'll come back if something changes. I checked out mentally. And it wasn't
Oh yeah, I
until
definitely zoned out. I was thinking about other things. I
it
was
wasn't
checking how
until
long it was gonna take.
oh yeah, I was looking at the runtime. I was already doing research. Like I was looking at like what music, like I was putting my doc together and things like
Mm,
that. So I was like, okay, well while you're doing a little acid trip, I'm gonna put my document together and things like that. So but then like periodically while we're going on this acid trip, it cuts to shots of Dave being horrified.
yeah.
And then when we finally get to this kind of groundedness, anything close to it, it's a room. It's a very fancy room. And this is where it gets weird. This is where we get into The Shining. This is where I can see The Shining being made, is in these shots. Like the way that the camera is set up. I've never seen The Shining, but this is where I've seen snippets from commercials and from movie analytic videos, like video essays. But this is where I think a lot of it comes from. Is this way of the way he angles the shots and the transitions and things like that come from this part right here where he's in this classical room and he's too afraid to get out of the pod, but all of a sudden he's out of the pod. And then he walks into like this bathroom. He goes from the bedroom to the bathroom and then he hears food, like utensils. And then he turns and it's him and he's older. He's an old man. It's Dave. He's an old man. And then he hears something behind him, old man Dave. He gets up, walks to check on it. He walks close to the camera, turns around, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess there's nothing there. And old man Dave sits. And he continues eating, and then he knocks over his glass of water. He turns, and old man Dave is now super old man Dave in a bed, and he's dying. And as he's dying, he reaches up his hand, and there's a black monolith in his room. And then he goes from old man Dave to baby fetus Dave, and baby fetus is now looking at the earth. And then the movie ends. And I am not exaggerating. That's shot for shot what happens. I'm just explaining it to you, our listeners.
So I hope you didn't click on a YouTube video that says 2001 a Space Odyssey explained, ending explained, or anything like that, because I want to ask you what you think that all meant and what happened.
Tony, if I did.
You did?
I had like 2 hours from when you were like, oh,
but I thought. Okay, so what were you thinking before you looked it up?
Yeah. I
Were
have
you thinking
that.
anything?
I have that solidified too. Don't worry about
Okay.
it. I got you. I have my own opinion. So my initial thought process from what I was watching was the movie starts as the evolution of man, even though personally I don't believe in evolution, that goes without saying, but yeah. The movie starts with the evolution of man, and it ends with an old man dying in space with this new life overlooking Earth. And I took it as thinking maybe he's looking at what are the possibilities that mankind can achieve in the years to come. So that was my like super artsy film way of interpreting this movie, even though I wasn't a fan of it or the way he put that across. But that was my initial interpretation.
Okay. I thought it had to do with space travel shenanigans and how time and space go warp, because he went through 20 minutes of interdimensional travel and then he comes up in this room, and this room, I thought he was meeting alternate versions of himself. He was just aging. And I thought, I know all of this is wrong, but this is exactly what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was just aging much faster than usual. So the way we see him going from, young to older to lying on his deathbed and then to eventually a little baby, I think that was his actual aging process that took probably like 30 minutes total or whatever. And then, yeah, when he was a baby, I just thought, okay, are they going for reincarnation? Are they just showing us, and then life repeats, life is a cycle? And then why is he in space looking at Earth? I got no idea. I think that's just I think that was just to end the movie and
On
make
a
it look like
profound note.
a baby looking over Earth. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. After all that time traveling through dimensions and lights and hearing spooky music, you just start aging rapidly until you become a little baby floating in space.
Yeah. It's something. It's something. So I did watch. I watched 2 videos. I watched A Space Odyssey explained by an idiot because I needed
Explained
that.
by an idiot or for idiots?
By an idiot.
Why did you watch that one?
I wanted a simplistic recap of what I just watched.
Okay.
And then I watched A Space Odyssey explained.
Okay.
And what I liked about this video that I looked up, it's by, I want to give credit to this channel because I would not have been able to understand it. It's done by The Take. The channel is called The Take. And they pulled out quotes from interviews that Stanley Kubrick did for this movie. And so, you ready to hit you with the facts and logic about what
Yes.
the creator did? So regarding David Bowman, who is Dave, his ending is by Stanley Kubrick. He said he's taken into another dimension of time and space, into the presence of aliens or godlike entities who have transcended matter and are now creatures of pure energy. They provide an environment for him like a human zoo, and they study him. His life passes before him. He sees himself age in what seems as just a matter of moments. He dies, and he's reborn into a super being.
Can I get some credit for that? I feel like I was almost on the money.
I feel like you were very close. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no time to look up these videos. We pretty much hit record as soon as I was done watching the movie. So.
Yep. That means you perfectly interpreted Kubrick. Well, almost perfect. But
Except,
you got
not the God part, not the zoo part. That's kind of strange.
You got the baby part right. The super baby, super being. What's interesting is Stanley Kubrick, he started this movie by taking an interesting look at deities in general. So Stanley Kubrick is an atheist, and he doesn't believe in any god that, like, he even says, like, I don't believe in any of Earth's religions, like, as if he's an alien.
He believes in a Black Monolith.
Yeah.
This is like, what I believe in. Here, let me make a movie real quick.
This is my belief system, yeah. 2001 A Space Odyssey. And I'm over here like, bruh, what? You got the religion of Mars in your back pocket? Is this why Elon and Bezos are trying to get there? Like, what do you... So yeah, he doesn't believe in any of Earth's religions, but he does believe in the scientific definition of God, which is like this matterless, all-knowing presence power thing. That's like, it's a weird... I think it's just Scientology.
Just a thing that has all those attributes. It's
a Big Bang thing. It's like what triggered the Big Bang. That is like what triggers God in a way.
Like the universe or whatever.
Yeah. So he wrote this movie with that perspective. And then when it came to his kind of views about the ending, this is where we get into the artsy-fartsy realm. And this is, I think, the most artsy-fartsy film we've ever seen on the pod. Because, like I said, there's no dialogue for the first 23 minutes. And there's very little dialogue, too. You know? There's not I think when it comes to the dialogue to movie ratio, there's very little. And it's because he was going for... We're going to get into the art appreciation section of this podcast. He went for an impressionistic view. Impressionistic is not something created trying to convey a message. It's trying to create something that will convey a thought-provoking message. So there's no clear message given. It's just, how does this movie make you feel? Like, that's what That's how he approached this from a film style standpoint. And that's how he approaches a lot of his movies. Like when you see A Clockwork Orange, it's about can something that is some like that's like nature versus nurture. Can something inherently bad be turned inherently good, or like be turned good, or are you just born bad, or are you just born good? So that was Stanley Kubrick's way of his impressionistic way of viewing the nature versus nurture standpoint. Um, his take on The Shining as well is like his way of looking at madness and going crazy and things like that. It's just a lot of it is just meant to be because also like with The Shining, he was adapting a book, so he did have a plot to do, but also he wanted it to go. You wanted you to walk away with your own like, huh, I think it meant that kind of thing. And so a movie that's directed, produced, and written by him, yeah, super impressionistic. So his quotes is one of them. He said in an interview. Uh, it says, I think that the power of the ending is based on the subconscious emotional reaction of the audience, which has a delayed effect. To be specific, what it's supposed to mean, it spoils, like to be specific about what it's supposed to mean, to try to interpret a definitive specific ending, to him would spoil people's pleasure and deny them their own emotional reaction. And then he wrote, and he said in an interview with this man named Joseph Gelmus, he said, the film stirs the emotion and penetrates the subconscious of the viewer. If it stimulates, however inchoately, the mythological or religious yearnings of someone, then the movie has succeeded. So he didn't create this movie with any clear, definitive meaning in mind. He wrote this movie with a way to invoke a sense of like the way he put it, mythological or religious yearnings. Like he wanted people to believe in something after this.
I was thinking about that during the open your mind Doctor Strange scene that goes on for 20 minutes because I was thinking, I bet this is also part of what he wants the audience to feel. I was thinking that, like with how long it takes, how many colors are flashing in front of you, the sounds that you're hearing, the music you're hearing. I was thinking, I bet he wants exactly this. Like, it's for such a long amount of time. Some people are probably gonna feel amazed and in awe. Some people are gonna be like, "What in the world is this? What am I watching?" And I think he wanted all those range of emotions. And I was thinking about Bandersnatch, and I think when
Oh
we spoke
yeah.
about it, I brought it up, but Bandersnatch is the choose your own adventure Black Mirror movie on Netflix. In case
Mm-hmm.
nobody has heard of it, um, yeah. And I remember when I was going through it, I got stuck in like a loop, and that became part of the experience for me. And I was thinking, am I doing this wrong, or is this part of the story? And whether or not I was doing it wrong or it was intentional, it did affect my enjoyment overall, and I thought it did add to it. I thought it added to it, whether or not for whatever reason that was happening to me. And I just thought about that. I was like, this is probably very intentional because this is a very long, drawn out scene of just colors and landscapes and space and stars and waves. And it's like, what does this mean? Why is this here? It doesn't make any sense. It's a perfect time to go use a bathroom if you've been holding it.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but yeah, I got the feeling like, yep, this is that scene that he wants people to have some sort of reaction to, and I think it works.
Did you
So you're
have
gonna react to
like
some way.
yeah, did you have a reaction other than I could use the restroom right now?
No, I was just zoned out. I mean, I was so tired, but I was just like, how much longer?
How much longer is this? Why are we still
Yeah,
here? Just to suffer.
but yeah, I think the only people who won't react to it is if you're watching it, half paying attention. If it's on the TV in the background or on another monitor while you're doing something else, yeah, you're not going to care. It's just going to be, background lights or whatever. But I get it. I do get it. I do get the intentions. And you can't really explain it. Like you said, if you
Yeah,
explain it, then you take away from it.
Exactly. And while this is not a movie I would inherently recommend to a family or a family member or a friend, I did have that kind of thought process that he was describing where he was like, this is supposed to make you think of your like a religious impulse. And so, for me, I do believe in like for our listeners, I do believe in God. I'm a Christian. And when I was looking at like the space and all of that, in my heart, I was over here like, man, all of that was created. Like we're part of an intelligent design. So that already did achieve what he wanted to achieve with that like part of the film. When we got to the part with like the Milky Way and the galaxy and even like those pans, even though the colors were inverted of landscapes of the earth, like I was thinking like, oh wow, all of that was created with a specific design and purpose.
So, yeah, it had the effect he wanted on you.
Exactly.
It's pretty good.
Exactly. It was interesting how that went about, but yeah,
I think I'm gonna forget it when I go to sleep tonight.
I
But
think you are too. And I think I am as well. I do have a couple of questions though that I kind of want to hit you up with for funsies.
okay,
So you know how in the part 2 and 3 they're eating like liquid food,
yeah,
the space food.
yeah,
Did you notice like all the pouches, the carrots and the corn and
yeah.
all?
I think there was cheese and
Yeah.
yeah, a whole bunch of flavors.
So would you eat that? Like if you were presented with a tray, like let's say you got to go on these like, state of the art, new technology space tours. You got to go to like this,
Caroline, you don't have to explain any further. The
Xenon.
answer is yes. The answer is yes. I would.
You would eat those things.
I don't have to cook. I'll finally drink all the vegetables that I need.
You would have a V8.
That's what juicing is. Like I basically don't have to juice vegetables. It's already juiced. And I'll drink all that. Like I could be healthy and not waste time having to cook. Yes. That's exactly what I'll do. Yes.
If you could liquidize, like I'm gonna one step next. If you could liquidize a food, what would it be?
The fun answer will be like pizza and burgers and stuff, but
No. I don't want the
honestly,
fun answer. I want your answer.
yeah, it'll be all the vegetables and just a protein like chicken or steak or whatever.
Like a V8.
Yeah,
If you
except
were here,
without
I
all
would.
the sugar and stuff.
I would thunk you. You could have had a V8.
But yeah, that would be a dream. I don't have to worry about cooking, and it's compact. I would have that every single day.
You
Yes.
know my coffee holic self. My eyes drifted on the scene of the movie. My eyes immediately drifted to the pouch that had the coffee logo
Yeah.
on it, and I was like, I would want to get rid of every compartment on that tray and just fill it up with those coffee pouches.
I mean, now I'm drinking half a gallon of coffee, but in the future, I could
I
drink
can
coffee.
live on it. I would take out all of your vegetables. I would just put coffee, protein.
Why would you take out? You can have your own tray. Why would you take out my vegetables?
If they were to ask me for my
You're not
order, I'd be
touching
like,
my
okay,
vegetables.
take out all his vegetables, put nothing but coffee pouches and a protein in there just so I can get my daily vitamins. Put a
Why would they give you
multivitamin.
my tray? Why would they give you my
And
tray?
they're like, ma'am, do you want to copy
There's
his
multiple
order?
trays.
And I'm like, no, get rid of all that for my order. I just want coffee, put multivitamins in there so I still get my daily nutrients and just put coffee.
Matter of fact, just grab that IV over there, fill it with caffeine, and put it straight into my vein.
Stick it straight into my arm.
Yeah, I didn't even want to waste time drinking.
No.
I just want it in me.
No, I completely disagree with you. The fun part is sipping the coffee. Like, it's so warm.
Give me a backpack of coffee with the sippy
Don't even
part.
mess.
That's exactly what I want.
I would take that. Next time you come here and we go on a walk, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
That's terrible. You're going to be dehydrated. That's the worst idea.
I'll have water with me, but I'll also have some cafecito.
Where? We got a backpack full of coffee.
I'll have a water bottle in the backpack.
That is a terrible ratio of coffee to water.
I need
That sounds like the worst idea. You're going to have like heat stroke or something.
I need it. What if it's iced coffee?
I want all the listeners at home to know this is a terrible idea. Please don't try this or encourage this.
So no to the iced coffee.
No to coffee. I'm no coffee. No to coffee in general.
You disappoint me. On to my second question.
Okay.
Do you ever use the AI feature on your phone? Like, first of all, because I have an iPhone, so I have Siri, but what is the AI equivalent on the Google phone on an Android?
It's just Google. You say, "Hey Google."
And it just activates. It's like, "Proop."
Yep. Yeah.
So you could tell it like set my alarm for this or do that.
Yeah.
Do you do it? Do you use it?
No, the only time I use it is when I remember that it's there, and that's rarely. And it's only if I don't know, I see a video or a movie or something, and it's usually just for a joke. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess I could do that too. And then I try it, and then I forget about it.
I have first I have I have a story, but my answer to that question was um I use mine very frequently.
Oh, it
I use
knows
mine
you.
very frequently. Yeah, Siri knows me. I even my Siri, I changed the voice. So Siri's a British guy, and I'll be like, and it's like Siri was made for the laziness, like which is me, and I'll just be lying down on my bed. I'm super comfortable, but I forgot to set my alarm, so I'll be like, "Hey Siri, set my alarm for." Oh no, no, Siri, don't turn it on.
Keep going.
I'll be like, "Set my alarm for 8 a.m." and Siri will be like, "Okay, got it." And then and so while I'm cooking too, and this is where the story comes in. So one day I was baking cookies and I had my hands covered in dough and I was washing my hands and Davy walks in and I'm going, "Hey Siri, can you please put a timer on?" Siri, no.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it. He's listening.
He's listening. "Can you please turn a timer on for 12 minutes?" And then Siri went, "Got it. Set a timer for 12 minutes." And then without even thinking about it, I went, "Thank you." And Davy goes, "You tell your AI, thank you?" And I was like,
You've bonded. It's been a while. You've bonded over the years.
there's a movie called Her. You know the
Scarlett
movie?
Johansson.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
about
haven't
a
seen
guy.
it, but
It's about a guy who falls in love with his AI, and Davy's like, "You are one step away from being her." And I said, "Hey, listen, if Her had the voice of Paul Bettany, I would already be there."
this is another thing I'm not encouraging. That's strike two.
That was
Strike
something I
two.
observed in this film is that they never told Hal please or thank you. They were just like, "Hal, open the doors." Hal, like he was like, "Hal, raise it, like raise the pillow," and he would like raise the pillow. "Hal, go
I
flat."
think that's a whole another discussion, right? Sentient AI. How do you treat them? Should you get comfortable with, treating them more like humans?
I'm
Like,
just
what's
saying
what's the
that
situation there?
if we were in that kind of
Have
future
we
where we
seen
had
Terminator or not?
I have seen the first Terminator
Okay.
and only the first Terminator. I'm just saying that if we ever get into the future where we do have sentient life, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen, but I'd be good. They'd like me because I'm nice.
Oh, so you want to be nice to the overlords? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying I'm nice to everybody. I'm nice to that's my like little vibe check. Don't if we were in the AI future, the AI digital future, don't date someone who's mean to the waiter or waitress, and don't date someone who's mean to the AIs.
Is it mean to not say thank you?
I think it's just lack of no, I'm totally messing, but in the AI digital future of Skynet and like Detroit Become Human, yeah, it's like they're
Yeah.
people.
Vicky from iRobot.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No wait, what's the name? Is it Sunny in iRobot?
Yeah, but
Isn't that
Vicky
the
is the
name?
main one. Like, my logic is undeniable. My
Oh yeah.
logic is undeniable. That,
Sunny is the one though. Sunny's my boy. I love
yeah.
Sunny.
Will Smith probably told him thank you.
Yo, oh, you know it. Sunny carried half of the film.
I was thinking about phones though when Dave said open the pod bay doors, Hal, and it wasn't working and he wasn't responding. I was thinking, well, first of all, that's just the worst situation ever. He's stuck in space with an AI that's not obedient or listening to him. And I was thinking a very, very miniature version of that is with your phone. And let's say for some reason you have to ask your phone to unlock to make a call or anything. And then you say like, Hey Siri, I need to make a call. No answer. Siri, I need to make a call. No answer. Siri, unlock the phone. No, I can't do that. Like, what? And then that's it. Like, so much of your life is on your phone. And then it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
wait, what do I do with an AI that doesn't listen?
You just reminded me of there's this like funny meme that's among IT professionals. And I learned this when I was working in an IT department. So many people like to brag about decking out their homes. And this is so many and it's so true.
Yeah,
There's so many
I've seen
memes
that
about it.
documentary.
Yeah, there's so many memes about it. I've heard so many IT professionals and professors tell me about it. And I am like, now that I know about technology and I've been trained in all of it and everything, and I have my bachelor's, I would never AI deck out my house. I would never put something so precious as like the lock on my front door or things like that to be in the hands of an artificial intelligence or like an app or an AI
The
fixture.
new Scream movie is using that.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it, but in the trailer, they do the classic phone call, and then Ghostface is on the phone, and then yeah, the girl, her phone. You see on her phone, it says like doors unlocked. It's like what?
Oh.
No, like what's going on? She tries to lock it, she hits lock, and then it just goes again like doors unlocked.
Oh my
I would
gosh,
never want that to
that's
happen ever. Yeah,
terrifying. I will never do that. I will never deck out my house to be like an AI,
automated.
yeah, automated. I will never do that. I remember my boss specifically telling me there's nothing safer than a deadbolt. Like there's nothing safer than a
And a
physical.
shotgun.
Yeah, that's a very Texan way of thinking about it. But yeah, there's nothing safer than a deadbolt and like physical security in your house.
Yeah, but it's convenient. I don't think they're doing it for security. Well, I guess
It's all,
some of the like the Ring cameras and the other
yeah,
one, some of them are
the
for
Ring
security,
camera is
but
good because the Ring doesn't actually let people in the house. Well, the Ring
well,
I have, because some
well,
Rings do. Some Rings do. I have the classic Ring doorbell only. There are Ring security systems, but I think that that's a little too far because that's where you should just, a key is so hard to fabricate. You can't hack a key, a lock and key, unless
there's
you have those digital lock and keys. But
there's people who pick locks.
yeah, but you have to like that's training. You don't just pick that up in Skyrim. Like, oh, I have these bobby pins.
You go on Amazon, you buy a lock
A
picking
lockpick
set.
set. How long is that
Yeah,
going to take that? And then if I have a Ring camera, I'd be like, hey, what are you doing?
same day shipping.
I was still going to be like, hey, what are you doing? Get away from my front door. I'm calling the police.
Wait, why would they order it in front of your house? They'll
No, no,
order
no. I'm
it.
saying if they're trying to lockpick using a lockpick set, it's still going to
Oh,
take time. And
they'll
I'm
just
going to
spray
be
out. They'll spray
in front.
can. They'll spray can the Ring camera.
It's still going to take time.
And then no, it once they practice is really fast. If you haven't seen the lockpicking lawyer on YouTube,
Oh, I
he
have.
he
I
does it
have
in
seen the
like three
lockpicking
seconds,
lawyer.
and he's teaching people on YouTube.
Well, what if I have like the chain on the door too?
Well, there you go. It goes back to the most reliable
Physical
deadbolt, and
security.
yeah, yeah. So that's true. And there's
But
nothing better than a 45-degree angled chair to the doorknob.
and that just makes me think of this film. I think Stanley Kubrick, he's obviously looking ahead. This is the 60s, but he's over here like, oh, in 2001, we're going to have an entire space station ran by one AI. And anybody now would be like, nope, we're not doing that. Unless it's like Jeff Bezos is like, this whole ship is powered by Alexa.
That's another thing I was looking at though, because he did. I don't know what other movies had this idea before this. We're kind of like jumping into some classics here. I don't know if we mentioned that. I've never seen A Space Odyssey before today, and you haven't either.
Yep.
But I did watch this with the mentality that, okay, a lot of people hold this as a classic, and I know I've heard people say that it's inspired other filmmakers, and it's been the pioneer of ideas that we use today. So I don't know which one's which, but I was picking some of them out, and that was one of them. I was thinking, so this movie came out in 1968, and they had an international space station in this movie before we had an international space station in real life. Now, I don't think this movie, gave NASA or anybody the idea to do that, but it is interesting that it came up like it was an idea before it happened in real life. Also, I was looking at other things like I think it was Dave or maybe Frank, I don't remember, and they were playing with Hal, they were playing chess. You remember that?
Yeah.
Let's just say it was Dave. Dave was saying like, "Oh, move
Oh,
the
it's
rook to c3, blah blah blah," and that is just straight up a digital chess game that I don't think existed before that movie. And I was trying to look up when did Pong come out, because that's how does the first video game.
yeah.
And
When?
1972, that's when Pong came out. This
Whoa.
movie came out in 1968. So
This movie motivated the Atari.
this movie started the rise of gamers.
You mean we can attribute this podcast to
Huh?
2001? Think about the dominoes, Tony. Think about the dominoes.
Okay, I'm following it backwards.
Yeah. Think about the dominoes.
Everything that's connected up until
Think
this
about the
point.
butterfly effect. All
I'm
the
already,
decisions.
yeah, Caroline, I already have my cork board up. I already see Phil Spencer, Game Pass. I see 360 here. I
Three
see it.
simple
It's all connected.
steps.
Yeah, I see it. I
You
see
see
the
it?
lines.
2001: A Space
Bungie,
Oddity.
Halo 3
Oddity.
ODST.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
This movie is an oddity.
It is
That's
a
gonna be the
space.
title. I'm gonna put that as
2001: A Space Oddity.
That's perfect. I'm definitely calling it that.
It definitely is that. Freudian
Yeah.
slip. But
Anyone who's listening to this and considers this movie a classic, I definitely want to hear why. Not because I think you're crazy or anything, but I just want to hear that point of view because
I
it
want to
sounds like
hear
we're
a
on the same
fresh take.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear
I,
a fresh hot take.
I thought it did a lot of great things, like from the way that a lot of the spaceships and even just like, like the still shots and everything, you can tell like they were very proud of their special effects. They're very proud of what they had to show because was everything was given time to really take in. Every scene lasted longer than you think a modern movie would last in. And a space, like one of the pods were docking, it just stood there for like 45 seconds, a minute, to just watch it rotate, and then settle in. Like, or when a spaceship or when they first land on the moon and their spaceship is just slowly descending, that scene is like a good 30-45 seconds, and it's gonna land on the moon, but it's really slowly, just letting you take it all in. And I feel like there are a lot of scenes like that, especially with the Black Monolith, the spaceships, and I just get like, okay, these are really beautiful shots. They really are.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because even when I was looking up this film, it's listed, and by I mean looking up this film, I'm talking about very intermediate. I just went to the Wikipedia page. I was looking at the entry in the Library of Congress because it has been culturally and historically significant. So it's submitted for preservation in the Library of Congress and in the National Film Registry. It's even listed as the most greatest and most influential film ever made in the science fiction genre.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was voted in a survey taken by this magazine called Time Out London, which is like this really big film magazine that was taken in. It was a poll taken in 2014, and it got an overwhelming amount of support for being the #1 best science fiction film of all time. and this was just in 2014.
I should have put in my vote. I wonder what else was in the running.
Well, what is in the running for the top three? It's number one is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Number two is Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
And number three is this film called Serenity. It came out in 2005. It's made by Joss Whedon. It's the Firefly movie. It's the Firefly movie.
That made it to number 3.
Familiar? Yeah.
That's the first one I thought of, but I was thinking it's got to be a different movie with the same
I was
name.
thinking that too when I clicked on it, and then when I hit open link, I was like, wait, Nathan Fillion? That's Firefly.
Yeah.
I've seen Firefly. But yeah, number one is 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then number two, I want to see Blade Runner. That's a movie
I could see a lot of the influences for sure. Like I even saw a lot of Star Wars influences.
Oh yeah.
Just with the way that the spaceships looked like in space, like the shadows, the way the shadows hit. There was one scene that literally looked just like a docking station in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember it. It was in the second part of the movie.
Not only that, but there was one scene that literally looked like the opening scene of Star Wars. With the ship just floating, slowly going forward, and we see the end, the back end.
Yeah.
That's like the beginning of Star Wars Episode 4, which is the first Star Wars.
I saw a lot of influences that Christopher Nolan took with Interstellar, like a lot. I don't even want to say them because I want you to see the movie still, but
yeah, when I looked up films influenced by A Space Odyssey, number one is Interstellar. And I didn't want to read further into it because I want to see it and have a fresh opinion of it. But just the first sentence was like, this film was heavily influenced by 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I see it now. I see a lot of scenes that Christopher Nolan used as inspiration. Also, before going in, I just knew, before watching this movie, I knew about Hal. I didn't know what he did or what his purpose was. I knew the open the pod bay doors. I know that quote. And then randomly, because I've read a lot of MCU stuff over the years, Iron Man was inspired. Like the Iron Man close-up shots in his helmet, that was inspired by this 2001.
Oh
yeah. When they're like really zoomed in on Dave's and Frank's helmet, and you see like the glares of the light and stuff, that's why Iron Man has that close-up shot to his face.
You just like, I was over here thinking, why does that shot look so familiar this whole time? Bam, that's what it was.
There you go. Also, some things I want to bring up before I forget. I want to mention the monolith because the very first scene is with the monkeys, and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" And they're all yelling. They didn't say, "Oh, what's that?"
They're more going.
It's late. But yeah, it looks so strange and out of place, and I was trying to figure out why does it look so strange. Well, one, it was probably like superimposed or whatever. I don't think it was actually there, but the reason why, but there are some shots where I think there's actually just like a black wall there, but in that first scene, it wasn't casting a shadow, and I thought it was gonna play into that, but after a little bit of time, it caught my eye, and I thought, that's not casting a shadow. Does that have to do with anything? Like, it's not actually there without a shadow. I wonder what that's about. And then when one of the monkeys go to touch it, you see his hand cast a shadow on the monolith. I'm like, oh, that looks so weird because there are shadows. All the monkeys have shadows. All the rocks have shadows. This thing does not have a shadow. I don't know if that was on purpose or by accident. And then when you see it the second time in the second part of the movie, when the crew goes out to, they've been doing the digging on the moon, and then the crew goes out to see what they dug up. And the first scene, now I'm looking for it and I see it. There's no shadow on this. But then when it goes to the second scene, like it would cut to the crew and cut back to it. And here is very obvious. There's spotlights, like huge spotlights that you would see like in football, the floodlights or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when it cuts to the second scene, I'm like, oh wait, there it is. Now it has a shadow. Now it's casting a long shadow. Like that is so weird. Are they forgetting, or is this part of its mysterious power or whatever that it has? And then when they walk up to it, and then when they're about to take a picture with it, you don't see a shadow again, or it's at least like way more diminished. And I thought, okay, I thought I was onto something. It's probably just inconsistency, whatever, but I think that added to why it looks so strange just sitting there. And then last thing I want to say about that, I'm pretty sure I saw a meme of this around the launch of it, but the very like last scene of the movie when you see the monolith inside the room, what's supposed to be the zoo for the humans. I agree. It does look like the Xbox Series X, just like a really tall Xbox Series X. I think I saw a meme of like
What?
the monkeys touching like a Xbox Series X around the time it was launching.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. It's auto completing for me on Google.
yeah.
Oh
And I'm like, yeah, I see it now. I see it now.
the, these are beautiful.
There you go. Yeah. Wait. It kind of looks like it, if you
it
take out
it
the
looks
Xbox Light and
so Phil?
Phil.
Phil? My boy? Are you seeing something we ain't seeing? Phil?
No wonder we look at this thing with a certain
Wonder.
twinkle in our eye. Yeah, a
Yeah.
certain wonder. A certain
No wonder I
no wonder
occasionally go up and caress my Xbox Series X the way that monkey did.
no wonder we long for it when we're away from it too long.
No wonder it brings together friendships and podcasts.
Yeah, generations of people. It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. Phil Spencer, he's way ahead of the game.
He has his own corkboard, Caroline.
He's over here playing 4D chess.
He's over here playing chess with Hal.
He's over here beating Hal at chess.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Can I also call out a few more things that I'm probably, it was really late and I was tired, but there's a few more things that I thought, is that like trend setting or pioneering something new?
All right.
In the second part of the movie with
The
when
doctor.
the doctor and they're visiting the space station. I was looking at their clothes because it's 1968
Mm-hmm.
and their suits fit. It was fitted. Like it was fitted. It wasn't baggy suits like I thought it used to be. I don't know how they looked in the 60s and the 70s, but I thought it had like a more baggy, the trend was more baggy, like looser suits. But here it was fitted and it looked nice and it looked modern, like how we would wear it now. And I was thinking that they kind of set the trend on that, or am I thinking about that wrong? Or is it really late and my mind is shutting down?
I'm trying to think of movies or things that I've seen that are around that same time. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a movie that's set in the 60s. And so a huge part of that film is trying to adapt the fashion from the 60s. And Henry Cavill is in it. So I'm looking at what that man's wearing.
They're not gonna put Henry Cavill in an ill-fitted suit.
But I'm saying but they even have Army Hammer's in it. What's his
They'll
name?
put him in an ill-fitted suit.
Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant is in it. And their suits were not baggy. Their suits were not, because I get what you mean. When you said baggy, my mind instantly went to this movie. I don't know if it came out in the 60s, but it's called Guys and Dolls. And it's a musical and it stars like Frank Sinatra and what's that other guy's name? I'm going to get Marlon Brando.
Oh, okay.
And it came out in 1955. So decade prior. But yeah, that's the baggy suits. Like Frank Sinatra's suits are like flopping on him. He's such a skinny guy already, and he's wearing this really baggy suit. And then it's about a couple of guys gambling, but they want to stop gambling and whatever. And it's a really good musical. I mean, it's got Sinatra in it. How can you not? But that's where I was like, oh yeah, that is like the baggy suits. I wonder if that was around that time, but I'm looking it up. It came out in the 50s. And then I remember correctly in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., it came out in the 60s. Like, I could just do my research and be like, 1960s suits. Here we go.
There's a very popular. Oh, how's it look? Fitted?
You know, they're kind of. I'm seeing two conflicting things. Some are not fitted at all. Some are, yeah, the baggy suit. But then I'm also looking at like a magazine entry, and it is kind of a more fitted suit. So maybe that was just up to the man.
If you wanted to dress well or not.
Yeah, you're gonna like the way you look.
Also, we already mentioned it, but another one that was clearly a forward-thinking one was the Zoom call, the Skype call.
Yeah, with his daughter. Can you imagine seeing that in the
FaceTime.
60s and being like, whoa, we can do that? We're going to be able to do that? And then now it's like, yeah, that's the norm. FaceTime, Zoom, Skype.
I think that's why this movie is also considered
Google Duo.
number one sci-fi of all time, or classic.
Because of how much you got right?
Not only that, but because it wasn't exaggerated. It wasn't like...
Yeah.
Back to the Future's prediction of the future is like wacky and crazy. This seemed very grounded and possible, realistic.
There was an excerpt from... Oh, here we go. There was an excerpt from the Wikipedia article, like not article, but a paragraph that I really liked. And just the intro on Wikipedia says, this film is noted for its scientifically accurate depiction of space flight, pioneering special effects, and ambiguous imagery. So I think that also could be applied to how they thought of the future. Even though they're over here saying, oh, it's in 2001 and we're here watching it in 2022. But, yeah, they didn't go out there with what they thought the future would be like.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, yeah, we're going to be able to FaceTime people. And even like his voice identification, that is a thing that's used.
Yeah, that was another one that I forgot to write down.
That is a thing that is used today. There's this movie I want to watch one day on the podcast, and I already brought it up to you multiple times, but it's called Sneakers. And that is about these ethical hackers, and they have to break into this company. And the way to get into this company is not like with a badge or anything. It's they have people say like my name is so and so and my voice is my passport. And that's how they get in. And I remember watching that while I was taking my ethical hacking class in college, and my professor was like, so many companies do that. They have like so many high security companies will not assign a badge or things like that. They'll have you give a vocal response and say like, my name is so and so, and you have to like repeat a series of words, and that's how they check you in. And to think that was in a 1960s film.
That'll suck on the days I have allergies.
You're like, hang on. Hi, my name is Tony, and my voice is my passport.
Access granted.
Wow, they do know everything.
Yeah. But yeah, that was another one that seemed very realistic.
Yep.
Where are you going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Give your Christian name, your surname, your Christian name, and your initial.
Yeah. So I think that's why I got to give her credit for that. It's very realistic. I don't know if it was just Stanley Kubrick or a think tank or whatever, but he really did just sit down and think, all right, how far can technology go realistically? And you got a lot of it right.
Yeah. One of the things I do really want to exist today are those shoes, those grip shoes. I want them so bad.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's probably the last. I forgot to bring it up. That's probably the last thing that I took away from this movie. This is my dumb way of thinking about these things, but for a long time, now I learned my lesson.
Okay.
For a long time, I used to think whenever I would watch a video, like a NASA video or, Yeah, just like anything on the ISS. And have you seen those videos on YouTube where like an astronaut would be explaining something to you in space, like in zero gravity,
Mm-hmm.
and they're always floating. And I used to think, why don't they go in the room where they turn on the anti-gravity or like the artificial gravity? Why are they floating around all the time? I didn't know that was just a made-up thing in movies and games and shows.
Anti-gravity.
No, artificial gravity, not
Yeah,
anti-gravity.
yeah, yeah,
Artificial
yeah.
gravity. I had no idea. I thought every spaceship had just like this artificial gravity so that once you're up there, you don't have to float around all the time. You could just walk normally. And it was a big revelation to me. So, yeah, seeing these shoes is like, oh, all right, that's smart. That's a way for them to shoot these scenes with them just walking normally. They don't always have to float around.
I had that moment with my dad. We were watching something and it was like, oh, the astronauts are gonna address like they're gonna take questions and things like that. And I was watching it with my dad and I was like, why don't they turn off the anti-grav like why don't they, turn on the gravity? And my dad goes, what? And I go, why don't they turn on
What
the
you say,
gravity?
honey?
And he goes, Caroline, they're in space. And I was like, yeah, but don't they have like a thing that they can just flip the switch and they have gravity? And he goes, no, they're in space. And my mom started laughing, and I was like, okay, I've been spoiled by video games
You've
and
been playing too much
sci-fi
Halo.
movies.
Stay in school.
I've been watching too much Star Wars.
Yeah, every single sci-fi,
Space
like Star
movie.
Trek, yeah, Star
Yeah.
Wars, they're all just walking around on their spaceship.
And yeah, but I want those shoes on Earth because your girl is clumsy. I twist my ankle walking to the kitchen. I am a very clumsy person. It's a miracle that I did not injure myself seriously while you guys were here because I trip over the
That was a
smallest
high
things.
possibility.
Oh, Tony, it's to the point where my dad even tells me don't run like anywhere. Like don't sprint because there's a 70-80% chance that if I do, I'm going to fall.
Oh my gosh.
I want those shoes so
I
I
don't
don't
think
trip.
I don't think that'll help you. I think it'll make it worse. If
No,
you
I'm just
trip, your
it
foot
grips
is just
me.
gonna be gripping the floor, and the rest of you is gonna fall down,
No,
and
I'll
you're
catch
just gonna snap
myself.
your ankle.
It's just I have this tendency to I think like my foot, especially because I have tile floors too, but also just like in the world, going out and things like that. My ankle's always twisting. I always twist my ankle, and if I have those shoes, it's just gonna poof, it's gonna hold me down.
They're low tops.
What if I
They
buy
don't
them
have
high?
ankle support.
I'll, I'll have to buy a special high top version.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend these for you, Caroline. I think they'll do more harm than good.
It's worth a try.
They're gonna grip the floor. So if you ever do trip on a pebble or whatever you trip on, paper clips or whatever, you won't be able to readjust your footing. You're gonna grip the floor.
I guess I still want them though. I want to do like
Yeah.
Spider-Man walks on the wall.
They did. That was a cool reveal. They were
That
proud of
was
that shot too, where
oh yeah. I can see that
the lady
being
with the
played.
tray,
I
she
could
just
see
walked
Stanley
up.
Kubrick sitting in his living room playing that scene on loop while sipping a chocolate milk and just being like, "Yeah, I did that."
Yeah, there were some really nice shots like that. Also, when I don't know if it was Dave or Frank, but when he was like jogging on the spaceship,
Oh
but he was
yeah.
jogging on the walls pretty much sideways.
Mhm.
I was thinking, well, they kind of reveal it. They reveal, no, it's still kind of crazy how they did that. But yeah, they make a big hamster wheel for him to run in or something. But it just looked amazing. It looked amazing. Especially where the camera was, like it never cut. You saw him run around in a full circle and he didn't run into the camera. They didn't cut the shot. He just did a full circle. Pretty impressive.
That was a really impressive shot. I'm a little sad that I didn't have the time to look into how they filmed it like the way I did with Pirates. But I'm definitely if this movie left me with anything, it was the curiosity as to how they filmed that. I definitely want to see a behind the
I
scenes.
already have an idea, and
Oh,
I bet it was. Have you seen the behind the scenes of Inception?
no.
Oh boy, you're gonna love that.
Yeah, I want to see that. I
You
love
remember that
Inception.
hallway? There's a famous hallway fight scene in that movie. You remember
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one?
yeah. I think you were telling me some of that
Yeah,
while we
no,
were watching
and
it.
yeah, they built a real hallway or a segment of a hallway, and it was actually rotating the whole time. While that was like actually happening, and I bet that's how they did it in just
Yeah,
build like an actual set
yeah.
that they rotate to have the actors in.
Oh, I want to see that. I want to see a view of that being filmed. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
hopefully it's out there.
Oh, I hope so. I want to look that up. I'll definitely like do that and maybe give a little quickie update next time because
Sure. Yeah.
that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
We'll do it during our Interstellar episode.
Oh, is that what we're doing next week? I want to see it.
We have to do Interstellar. We have to. It's been too long.
Also, it would be neat if we do Interstellar next week because next week is the anniversary of this it's a failed space launch, but like NASA still honors the astronauts and like the teachers and people that were lost in this launch, this space launch because it was about like moving forward and it was like a space shuttle what's it called? Launch, but it failed, but NASA still like honors the people, the lives that were lost in it. It would be neat if we do a space episode.
That's it. I'm convinced. We're doing it.
We're doing Interstellar. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I've already been like hearing some of the soundtrack to hype myself up.
Hans Zimmer. You know that guy doesn't disappoint.
Tone like this is a huge sidebar for the pod, but I'm on a huge Hans Zimmer kick right now. I have a playlist of like the best of Hans Zimmer. He did so many
all his
movies.
stuff?
Like not all of it, but it's
It
some
says the
of
best.
it's some of my faves. I had to curate it because there are a lot of Hans Zimmer playlists on Spotify.
Mhm.
But it's some of my favorites because he did a lot of DreamWorks movies, which is really surprising. But he did a lot of DreamWorks movies. And one of them is like one of my favorite movies as a kid. It's called Spirit. It's about a horse. And I was a horse girl. But it's like Hans, chill. This is
Do
a
you have a
kid's
horse
movie.
sense?
I'm a Texan. We all have a horse sense. It's like,
Gotcha.
Hans, chill. This is a kid's movie. You don't have to go so hard. And he's over here writing this like epic soundtrack. It's just, he's amazing. But I also mixed in a lot of the songs that other people put into their Hans Zimmer best of like playlists. So any songs I didn't know, I would just put them in. And so many playlists had like almost every song from Interstellar. Like that's such a beloved soundtrack. And I was hearing some of it and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Just you'll see. You'll see.
I'm ready for the ride.
I think there's so much that I've been holding back. But yeah, I told you, it depending on the day is either Inception or Interstellar as my number one Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah, right now I'm all in the Inception. I've seen Nolan films, but Inception was definitely, well, I do like Dark Knight.
You've seen all the
Dark Knight
Batmans.
Rises. I've seen all the Batmans. I do like the Batmans. Dark Knight Rises I like it a little bit more than the Dark Knight, and that might be a hot take for the Nolan Batman fans, but I like it. I like Anne Hathaway. I like Tom Hardy as Bane. But yeah, Inception shot to the top. Like I'm a huge fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I love him.
JGO.
So
Gotta represent.
JGO. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Interstellar.
All right, cool. It's settled. Is there anything that we left untouched for 2001 that you want to speak on now?
I am looking at my notes just to make sure.
A Space Oddity.
2001, A Space Oddity. I know you don't like to rank movies, but would you rank it? Like
On
a 1
list
out of
what?
10? Like on a scale.
The reason I don't like to rank it is because when I use a 1 out of 10, I want to use the full scale.
What's the full scale?
Like if I give it a 5, I think a 5 is okay, not like horrendous like IGN. Like if a
Oh
game gets
yeah,
a
yeah,
5,
yeah.
it's a terrible, awful game. But if I give it a 5, it's okay.
Yeah, that's halfway.
But um but yeah, even then it's hard to put a number on it. I just want to say I definitely see why it's a classic. Definitely see why it's a classic. It didn't it didn't affect me the way I thought it would because I'm a big fan of sci-fi
Yep, same.
and
I would say
yeah,
if I'm a fan of any film genre first, it's sci-fi.
yeah, same here. Sci-fi above anything else. But yeah, I thought it was gonna stick with me more. I thought I was gonna be more excited about it. But I do give it credit for everything it does. I do see why it's even on any top 5, top 3, let alone number 1 list of sci-fi or remarkable, remarkable movies.
What's
Um,
interesting, just to piggyback off of that sentiment a little bit, is that's almost my mirrored thoughts for Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane is heralded by multiple publications, critics, film, what's it called, like academies and things like that, for being the number one movie of all time. And when I watched it, I went in like, okay, impress me. Like, why are you number one? And at first, I had the same kind of feeling where I was like, okay, all right. But then the more I sit and the more that I thought about it after I watched it, and then also like how old this movie is and how much this movie inspired so many other films that took from it, that were inspired from it. That's where I was like, okay, I get it. I get why. Like, this is the number one. I get it. So with that same kind of sentiment, I see with 2001: A Space Oddity. Oddity. I'm still calling it that. It's just in my mind now. I would definitely never watch this movie again, but I'm
the
not.
ending was definitely a space oddity,
Oh
without a
yeah.
doubt.
Oh yeah. I won't ever watch this movie again, but I don't think my time has been completely wasted either. There were parts 2 and 3 I really enjoyed. It's 1 and 4 that are like, eh.
If it's on TV, I won't change the channel, but I won't specifically seek it out and say, let's watch 2001: A Space Oddity.
If it's on TV, I'll see if there's anything else playing. And if there's nothing else on, then I'll watch it.
All right, so that's how we feel about it.
Yeah.
Anyone who holds it in higher regard than we do, please let me know why.
Yeah,
I'm
just
interested.
genuinely want to know why. I really want to know. I want a fresh opinion on this. I want to know if it's just our tiredness and not film provoking.
Oh no, I'm in the right state of mind for that. I know how I feel about this movie.
I don't know if it's just my tiredness of my non-thought provoking self, but yeah, I want some fresh takes.
All right, Caroline, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you're hearing us on your favorite podcasting platform, such as Spotify, Apple, whatever, be sure to give us a follow and an honest review. You can now give us reviews now. If you're listening to us on YouTube, hit a like, subscribe, and the bell icon if you want to hear some more from us. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I made like an Eternals edit and I posted it to the podcast channel. Those are just little things that I don't have anywhere else to post that. And I thought, why not? We're a movie pod. I'll post some of my fun edits there. I post snippets on our previews. So if you want to hear more from us, see any of my editing skills or lack thereof, go ahead and hit the bell icon. We really appreciate y'all listening.
Also, and I'm going to mention this, Caroline and I, we were in a different podcast this week as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're mentioning this. Uh-huh.
It's our friend Carl. He's given us recommendations before. And yeah, he has his own podcast. Look for it. It's called True Way Gaming. And we were on there talking about as of this time, Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. So it was a very interesting and historic episode. And if you like, hearing our opinion on things. We are also big into games, and Carl is
Gaming
an
podcast
expert.
guy.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
expert on games. So yeah, if you guys are interested, that's over there as well. True Way Gaming.
Yes, you can find his podcast with at True Way Gaming. He also has an Instagram at True Way Gaming Podcast. So you could find him there. We also did another episode with him, which is your favorite video games that are based on movies. And we talked about our favorite games that were based on films. So
That's a good crossover.
Yeah, there's more of us over there. That's definitely the crossover episode.
Wait, say it one more time because now I am tired. Say it. Games. Oh, games based on movies.
Games based on movies.
So now we have to do a
Movies
movie based on games
and bring him on.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
We gotta do Resident Evil,
Super
Mario Brothers,
Doom, Resident Evil, Sonic, Uncharted.
Oh, I have to watch Sonic. Oh, this is finally my push.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Lara Croft.
Anyways, that's it. Let's go to sleep. We're done.
Tony, you go to sleep. You're definitely done. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Also, I forgot, if you have a recommendation for us,
we're trying to go.
Hit us up at Instagram or Twitter at Elbow Nudge, or email us at elbownudgepod@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, that's important. I read those. I'm waiting for my first one ever. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Ciao.